All right, so today, you guys, we want to work on multiplying and dividing decimals. And so for a lot of you, this is going to be a review. Now, these are the steps that you need to use when you're multiplying decimals. And this is slightly different than what you would do if you are multiplying whole numbers. And one thing I'd like you to keep note of is that you want to try to do this without your cell phones and without your calculators. Because what happens when you use a tool like that is your brain kind of goes to sleep. So what I want you to do is to do these assignments without a calculator. Now, there will be a time when I will allow you to use a calculator later on, like when we're doing a little bit of geometry and a little bit of algebra. I'll let you use it, because when the problems are really involved, I will. Because sometimes you guys are going to have to use a calculator. But right now, I'd like you to not use a calculator. Okay, everybody clear with that? Including your phones, right? No calculators? You didn't use a calculator on your test, right? And you will be retesting. After 45 hours of instruction, you will be retesting. So I want you to do this without a calculator. Now, the first thing you need to do when you're multiplying decimals is you need to ignore the decimal. Ignore the decimal place. And you're going to create what's called partial products and then add them up. Who can tell me what multiplication is? What is multiplication? What's a good definition? Yes. Yeah, you're right. It's like a series of addition. That's exactly what it is. And it's just a quicker way of doing it. So when we get these partial products, that's why we add them, is because it's a series of addition. And at the very end of our partial product total, we will handle the decimal. So let's go through the steps one more time, but with a problem. Now here's an example. Remember, you're going to ignore the decimals. And what would be the first thing I should do here? What should I concentrate on first in order to multiply? Anybody remember? Yes, Alicia. I take that 3 and basically I'm going to multiply it by every digit here on top and get the first set of partial product. That's the first set. So what's 3 times 4? 12. And I put the 2 down and I'm going to carry the 1. And then what's 3 times 7? 21 plus 1 is 22. Carry the 2. And then what is 6 times 3? Plus 2? 20. Now I'm doing the carrying in my head, but I'm calling it out. Some students like to write the number down so they remember what the number is that they're carrying. Now notice this product, this partial product, started immediately under the 3 because place value matters. And you guys will, those of you that just came today, you guys will get a place value packet. But your place value does matter. You start with the first place value, the ones place. Then we have to go to the tens place. And in the tens place is a 1. So this partial product is going to be really easy. When you start multiplying, that number needs to come right below the 1. So what should the first digit be here? A 4, then a 7, and then a 6. Because we're just taking 1 times 4, 1 times 7, and 1 times 6. This is our second partial product. Now, I have the 2. How do I know that I'm only going to have 2? Well, look at the second term. How many digits are in it? That's how you know, okay? So when I add this up, I get a 2, I get a 6, a 7, and I get an 8. Now let's handle our decimals now that we've got our product here. How many decimals are in this number? 2. Yeah, there's 2 decimals. How many decimals are in this one? None. So when I add that up, I only have 2 decimal places for both factors. So I'm going to start at the very right of this product here. We have the total product. And then I'm going to move 2 places to the left. 1, 2. And that's where my decimal is going to go. And that's all you do for your decimals. You add up how many decimal places you have, start at the far right of your answer, and move to the left that many places. So this one was only 2 places. Can somebody read the answer to me? 87 and 62 hundredths. You want to be able to read and write your numbers with the correct format and be able to say them correctly too. Okay, here's another one. Now in this one we've got decimals in both factors. 5 times 3 is 15, carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. And 4 times 3 is how much? 12. Then on the second one, I'm going to start here with the 2. 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1. And then 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. And then 4 times 2 is 8. I total those partial products. Now this time, how many decimal places am I going to have?
4.
So I start at the far right and I move over 4 places. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is where my decimal should be. Now there's something special I want you guys to do when your answer is just a decimal. There's no whole number attached to the decimal. If there is no whole number, I want you to put the decimal there, but I want you to have a 0 in the ones place. And this is so that people can read your numbers clearly. Many people have made mistakes in the workplace and in school when they don't know that there should be a 0 here. We've had nurses overdose people. And if you go into healthcare as a career, this is a practice that you should always use. If your answer is just a decimal, have a 0 in the ones place. So you guys go ahead and practice that here. So when you get out in the world, you'll actually do it correctly. Major mistakes have happened because of that. Here's another one. I'd like you guys to do this problem here. Try this one, and then you tell me what the answer is. Does your answer match mine? Where should I put my decimal?
4.3.
Between the 4 and the 3. Yeah. So can somebody read the actual decimal there for me? 4 and 324 thousandths. And make sure that you put that on the end because it's a decimal. Did everyone get this one? Is there a question about what we did here? No, everybody got it? Okay. Now, let's talk about division. Division is done a whole different way. Remember, in multiplication, we handled the decimal at the very end. Well, in division, you handle the decimal at the very beginning. So that's what's opposite. And what is division? Who can give me a good definition? What is it? What's division? If you tell me,
Breaking it equally by another number.
say it again.
Taking one number, I would say dividing equally.
You want to say divided. Breaking it up into even groups. And that's one thing you do have to keep in mind is that when you're dividing into even groups. But what is it at its basic core? You guys told me that multiplication was a series of addition. So what would division be? Yeah, it's a series of subtraction. And I do have some students who are not, they don't like to memorize a lot of stuff. And they do actually sit there and subtract out the groupings in order to figure out how to divide, okay? And remember, multiplication and division are evenly weighted in math, and they're the inverse of each other. So they have a relationship. So it's a series of subtraction. And so we're going to be using subtraction as we do this. But Curtis is right. It's grouping. We're going to be grouping things out. So you want to make sure that your decimal is placed in the correct position before you start dividing. It's opposite what we do in multiplication. And before you even multiply, you want to make sure that what's called your divisor is at the very end of the number. And I will show you guys how to move it and keep it equal. Some students like to rewrite the problems because they don't like all of the changes inside their problem, just to help them with placement. You can do that, rewrite it if you want, you don't have to. And then in dividing decimals, sometimes it's necessary to add zeros so that you can divide to the number of places that you would like to have. And we'll talk about that too. All right, so here's an example. We have 8 divided into 2 48/100ths. Now this radical here means division. Another way you might see this is 2.48 divided by 8, okay? This is the horizontal way. You're looking at the radical way on the PowerPoint. This is our dividend, and this is our divisor. Okay, now, the first thing you need to do is you need to take care of your decimal place. Is my divisor a whole number? If it is a whole number, then all I need to do is find the decimal in my dividend and bring it straight up. The answer to a division problem is called what? What's this answer going to be called? A quotient, yeah. And it's important that you guys know that because you could get a question that says the quotient is blah and blah. Or in this case, they could say, what is the quotient of 2 4/8? 2 48/100ths. And let me turn this off here. 2 48/100ths divided by 8. So you need to know that that means division. I will bring that decimal straight up because I already have a whole number. And the reason I know I have a whole number is because the whole number 8, if I figure out where the decimal is, it's at the very end of that 8. And it needs to be at the end in order to be a whole number. So where's my first significant digit going to go? But what did I tell you to do with the decimal? Even though I'm going to put my first significant answer here, what should I do here? I want that 0 there. You guys, it's really important to put that 0 there. People can make so many mistakes if they don't know that they're dealing with decimals. They may make a mistake and think it's a whole number. Okay? So before I even do that, I want to make sure my format looks right. So how many times will 8 go into 24? 3 times. And then I need to do 3 times 8. How much is that? 24. And then I'm going to subtract it, and how much is left over? Well, how much is left over in my subtraction? You're skipping ahead of me. Okay. And then the next step is to bring down the next digit in the dividend, which is the 8, right? Okay, how many times will 8 go into 8? So I'm going to put 1 there. And when I subtract, I get 0. Then what do I do? How do I know I'm done? Right. The reason I know that I'm finished, and you guys need to know where to start and where to finish. And that's the reason why I'm asking you that. I am finished because I do not have any more numbers to bring down in my dividend, and I don't have anything remaining. So I'm finished. My answer is going to be, now somebody read this one for me. What's the answer? 31 hundredths. And this is also, if somebody had put a dollar sign on here, this would be 31 cents. Cents and hundreds are in the same place value. Okay, so you guys really need to do the place value packet that I have in the bin there. I think it was pink. I can't remember what color it was. All right, now this one's slightly different. I have 7 2/10 that I'm dividing by 40 32 hundredths. So I've got a decimal in the divisor and a decimal in the dividend. What should I do to get the divisor to be a whole number? So this needs to move 1 to the right. Now what I do to the outside, I have to do to the inside number. Otherwise, I've changed the problem completely. So if I move my decimal to the right 1 for my divisor, I need to move my dividend also to the right 1. And I can bring it straight up because that's going to be where it goes in the quotient. So what you do to the outside, you have to do to the inside. Now the problem is going to change to 72 divided into 403 2/10, for those of you that want to rewrite it. Where's my first significant digit going to go? Where would it go? Above the 3, okay? Now, as a strategy, you might want to make a little multiplication table on the side for 72, because many of us don't use 72 as a factor. But you might want to do that here on the side. And I did it with just 2 numbers. I took 72 times 5 and got 360, and then I took 72 times 6 to get 432. What I'm looking for is a number to use as a factor to get as close to 403 as I can without going over it. I'm grouping by 72. So which of these should I use? So I need to use 5 because 6 is too big. So I'm going to put a 5 here above the 3. Now notice, after I placed my decimal, I divided. I tried to divide. How many groupings of this can I get to? 5 times 72, now I'm multiplying, is 360. Then I'm going to subtract, which gives me 43. So remember those steps. I took care of my decimal first. I looked to see where the first digit's going to go in my answer. Then I divided. I multiplied, and I subtract. So after I subtracted and get the 43, what should I do next? Bring down the 2, which is in the dividend. Now, how many times will 72 go into 432? You guys see it right there. Yeah, I already put it down on the table. So you're going to put 6 there. Multiply again, subtract again, and you have 0. Am I finished? Why? There's nothing else to bring down, and my remainder is 0. So I've divided this completely. Sometimes you will have something left over, and you might have to round. So your answer is 5.6. Now, what am I going to do here? I have to take care of my decimal. What am I going to do? How many places? Yeah. No, it's 2. To get this to be a whole number, I have to go 2 places. So that means I need to go 2 places here as well. Now, what am I going to do with this empty curly Q here? Add a 0. And I'm going to go ahead and make a decimal up here and make my line a little bit longer because everything's moved over. So I'm dividing 125 into 3,750 for those of you that want to rewrite it. I'm still going to use the strategy of a multiplication table so that I can get as close to 375 as possible. What digit should I have above this 5? And how do I know that it's above the 5? Well, these are the questions you should ask yourself. You should say, okay, I have 125. 125 will not go into 3. 125 will not go into 37. But 125 will go into 375. So this is where my first digit's going to go, right above here. And how many times should I put? 3. 3 times 125 is 375, which gives me 0. Am I finished? I have a 0. Am I done? I'm not done. I still need to bring this 0 down. This 0. It still needs to come down. I'm not finished yet, so I need to bring it down. And how many times will 125 go into 0? 0 times. So the answer is 30, not 3. Now let me tell you, you have to be careful with zeros because adults, for some reason, don't see zeros. They don't like them. They don't write them down when they should. So that's something that you need to be very careful of. The answer here is 30, not 3. You cannot stop after the 5. You have to keep going one more place. So be careful with your zeros. All right, I have a couple of problems here that I'd like you as a class to do. These are going to be extra problems to do for division and multiplication. So take a moment, write these down. And what I'd like you to do is if you complete one of the answers, come up to the board and write the answer there. First come, first serve, okay? A lot of you are kinesthetic learners. That means you need to get up and move around, so come on up. And a couple of these are really easy, so I would do the easy ones and get an answer up there. Which one did you do, Curtis? Oh, number 1. Okay. Is that 17? Okay. Could you put a little line underneath the 1 to, yeah, to show that it's a 1? Thank you, Jorge. And you go by Rochelle? Is it Rochelle or Rochelle? Rochelle? Okay. Thank you, Rochelle. It's funny, you guys are doing them in a row. That's cute. You got one, Anna? Okay, now can I ask you a question? That comma, should that be a comma or a decimal? Should it be a comma or a decimal? Okay, yeah, in America we use decimal, and I know you probably have to switch. Okay, so I have a eraser right here. Yeah, just so you can rewrite it, but just rewrite it, but put a 4 point. Like, what was your answer? No comma, just a point. 4 point. Was it that one? Yeah. Was it 4 point? You want to try it? Okay, I know that kind of throws you off because in America, what you're going to do is move this over one. Okay, so this is going to go 15 into 16. That's going to be a 1. And then you have a 15 here. And then how many times will 15 go into 15? One time, okay. And then you have these zeros here, okay? So you're going to need to put a 0 there. And you might have switched them around. This, when you're in the radical, this is your divisor, and this is your dividend. So we switched it around. I think you just have it the other way. Oh, that's why you got that big one. No, divide. Yes, so this means division. This is another symbol for division. Okay? All right. Try another one, okay? But that really should be a division. Actually, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are all division. Okay? That symbol means to divide. And then they're gonna kind of switch places when you divide them. I don't know, do you guys divide upside down or you do like we do? Do you write your division like this, or do you do it upside down? Like this is how you do it? Okay. Did anybody get number 4? Okay, so yeah. Okay. And Shane, did you get one of them to put up? You guys are kind of shy. Now, as your classmates are putting the answers up on the board, I want you, if you see that there's a mistake, I want you to actually talk to them about, how they got that number and stuff, because you guys need to help yourselves, and you can learn just as much from each other as you can from me. So, is that the same answer you had gotten, Curtis?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then, what's your name? Did I talk to? You're Shane, right? What's your name? Can I see your paper? Okay, you did you just sneak in on me or? It's how do you say it? Lozo? Lozal. Oh, Lozal. Okay. And then you're here for High School 21 as well, or for just brushing up on math? Math brush up? Okay. All right, go ahead and finish, and I'm going to just hang on to this for just a few minutes, okay? Thank you, Jorge. So it looks like we just have 3 more to do, 7, 8, and 9. Well, actually, I did 7 on the board, so 8 and 9. Can you write your you need to put your full name here and your student ID number,
Okay.
which is on your your registration form. Yeah, erase that. And then here's your student ID number right here. That needs to go there. Okay, and then I need that back for just a few minutes, okay? All right, so let me start putting some of these answers up here. And you guys just need to do 8 and 9. Everything's looking copacetic so far. Yeah. 8 and 9, yeah. Okie dokie. Okay, now Curtis, you got the whole number 79 or you have a decimal? Oh, thank you, Lozo. We got a decimal thing going on with number 8.
Oh.
You have to move the decimal over once. Yeah.
Oh, I get it. Yep.
Okay, so you needed to have a decimal in front of the 79, okay? Rochelle? No, he writes his ones looking like a 7, okay? But I'll do it like this so you can see it, okay? He has a fancy one that looks like a 7. Okay, does that help everybody? Now, if you did not get all of these answers, I want you to practice these again. Remember, the only calculator you're going to use is your calculator between your 2 ears. And you should be able to get these relatively quickly if you have been practicing your multiplication tables. All right? Now, if you know you need some practice on your multiplication tables, come talk to me and I will give you a couple of online websites that you can go to actually do some practice for your multiplying and for your dividing with simple digits, okay? Because sometimes if you have not been using your brain and you've been using a calculator, your brain kind of goes to sleep. Were there any specific questions on any of the ones that we did? Rochelle, which one? How he got the 315? It will be, and it will be a whole number. Yeah. So anything where the decimal's at the very end is just a whole number. Because you're going to move the 3 over 1, and then you're going to move the 945 over 1 as well. So it's just going to be a whole number 315. Yes. On number 7. I did that one on the board here. Yeah, I did it when I was talking to Anna. So here's 1/5. Okay, yeah, it's a whole number as well. Yeah, the inside I just added, I just brought it straight up like that. Yeah, because that all I did was add the 0, but basically this is what I'm doing here. Bringing it over here and taking it up. Because it was 165. Right, then I just moved over 1 and added this 0. Or no, because this was a whole number, where's the decimal in a whole number? It's always at the end whether you see it there or not. Okay, so whether you see it there or not, it's at the end. So that's where you have to start if you have a whole number underneath. Okay, that's a good question. Any other questions on any of these 10 problems that we did? Yes, Alicia. Number 9? Oh, okay. The 55.5 is your dividend. So that goes under the radical. And the 50 is your divisor. So that's why I tried to show you guys when it's set up horizontally, it looks, this is your dividend, this is your divisor, but when you use the radical, they switch around. Okay, because you're saying it different. Right here, you're saying, okay, I'm dividing by this divisor. But when you're in the radical, the divisor's on the outside. And you're saying that goes into. So you're saying 50 goes into 55.5 when you write it as a radical, and it'll look like this. So the 50 is going to be out here because you're saying 50 into 55.5. Whereas on the board here, we have 55.5 divided by 50. So you're reading it differently.
Oh, I was still switching
The numbers?
point.
Oh,
I was still switching.
well, on this one, you don't have to because your divisor's a whole number, so you just bring it straight up. Okay? All righty. You are welcome. Are there any other ones? See, there's little quirky things when you guys haven't been doing it that you forget. Any other questions? All righty. So I want you all to start working on your packet that you grabbed. Today it's a blue one. And then let me know if you have questions as you're working on these, okay?